Oh, hello everyone. So we have survived a number of assessments. We are now discussing the third assessment, which is our last one in our learning journey. So it is also, I think, great opportunity for us to check a number of concepts that we need to digest so we can develop a marketing strategy. Oh, hello, Chelsea.
Hello, how you going?
Good. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. I just started with my introduction. Actually, I will.
Who else is in? Is anyone else on it or not?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. But let's see in the next few minutes. Hi, Gabriel. How are you? What I'll do is I'm going to mute my video because my internet may have problem. Right. So this session is recorded, so you can play back the tools, concepts, and everything for at your convenience. Okay, and hopefully at the end of the presentation, we still have time to discuss your assessment too. All right, let's move on. So the purpose is again to discuss assessment 3, and again welcome to this presentation. Okay, these are the tasks that we need to deliver in these assessments. Essentially, we need to be able to develop a marketing strategy. Okay, we need to be able to develop a marketing strategy. So that is the key point that we need to deliver. Okay, due dates as announced weeks ago. It is due on the 3rd December, week 11. Okay. So before week 12, okay? The day before week 12. We normally start from Monday to Sunday, okay? And feedback to the other presentation or the other group's presentation is due on Friday, week 12, or 8th of December, not Sunday as mentioned the assessment brief, and this correction has been announced actually. So I've made announcements weeks ago about this correction. Okay, and your second round of your team member rating sheet is due on the same day, right? Just upload it, just email it to me on the 8th of December 2017. Okay. The other notes, please be specific in your analysis. Explain it. Explain specific examples if you need to. Right? Be specific. If you talk about target market, be specific about the target market. Okay. Refer to the assessment brief for details because this presentation is meant to highlight the key points that we need to deliver. And references, do not forget references, both in text and reference lists. Okay, so yes, we are going to use a PowerPoint presentation slides to deliver the assessments. But yes, please use references and relevant concepts, right? At least a brief definition to demonstrate that you understand the concepts. Okay, so they're the main ones that we need to deliver. Now let's have a look at them one by one. By the way, if you have questions, put your just interrupt me, and we'll discuss your question. Okay. Okay. Question: what is marketing strategy? What does it contain? Briefly, when it comes to marketing strategy, it is actually about target market, positioning, and marketing mix variables. So they're the three components that we need to include. Okay, so some people may say that marketing strategy is actually marketing mix variables. Well, not really, not really. Okay, marketing strategies actually include these guys here, right? The target market, who your target market is, the positioning, and marketing mix variables. Okay, in the context of customer-driven marketing strategy, we start with our decision on the customers, who are the customers that we will serve, and the second decision is how we will serve these customers best. That is actually about value proposition and positioning, and of course the marketing mix variables to deliver the positioning. Okay, therefore when it comes to marketing strategy, we always say target market, positioning, and marketing mix variables. And if you look at your assessment brief, they are basically the main contents of your assessments. Okay, now let's have a look at them. First, let's make it as a discipline, and your assessment task also requires you to explain a brief background, so background information about the company, product or service. Here you can explain the company, a brief, anything about the company, including the history of the company, for instance, okay, and the product or service range that they offer, and the product that you are going to analyze. Okay, your analysis may not may not be for all products that the company has, which is fine. Okay, so if you look at, for instance, Samsung or Apple, they have a number of products in the market that they offer for the customers. You may want to say this company has a range of products that includes this, and this. And this marketing plan actually focuses on, let's say, their mobile phone, Samsung Galaxy. Okay, so and briefly introduce Samsung Galaxy and so on and so forth. That's it, right? So brief background information. Okay. Now the next one is target market analysis. There are two things in here: segmentation and targeting. Okay, so the outcome of this analysis is basically target market. Okay, and I believe everybody is working on business to consumers category. Therefore, please use the 4 segmentation variables: the geographic, demographic, psychographic, and behavioral. I do not recommend you to discount it because they come as a package. Okay, so geographic variable, demographic variable, psychographic variable, and behavioral variable. Okay, so they are the ones that we need to explain. Who are they? Geographic is actually dividing the large population to smaller market segments based on geographical units. So when we explain our target market lives in the key cities, for instance, in Australia, then you are actually analyzing geographic segmentation variable. Okay, and demographic in here is actually different to demographic environmental force that you analyze in the second assessment. Demographic in here is actually about the market segments that you expect to be your customers based on demographic variable. Okay, what is the demographic variable? It could be age, gender, income, education, marital status, okay, language spoken at home, ethnicity, and so on and so forth. Right? They are related to the census survey. So when you explain my target market is actually those who are highly educated, then you're actually using a demographic segmentation variable. Okay. Now sometimes the variable is not relevant to to your business. Okay. For instance, drink water, for instance, is applicable to all types of gender, both male and female. Basically, drink water. All right. So that means it is male, female. You could say both of them are your target market. Okay. In other words, target market. Gender in here is not a good variable to define your target market. So use the other variable. Okay. Psychographic is actually about lifestyle, social class. So, for instance, if you explain the target market is basically those who like outdoor, for instance, or who like selfie, for instance. Okay, so you're actually using a psychographic segmentation variable. And behavioral is actually about the attitude and knowledge of the customers about your product or product category. Okay. The behavioral segmentation variable includes their loyalty, for instance, their user status, whether they're users or non-users. Okay, if you're targeting non-users, then you need to explain your product benefit in more detail in your campaign. Okay, how heavy they are using your product, or how often they use your product, breakfast cereal, for instance, they may aim at those who use this product, every day. Okay, so there is some examples that you can consider in terms of using the 4 segmentation variables, but please use all 4 segmentation variables. No discount, right? Because we are not release our calls. Okay. Those who work in B2B marketing, I'm just anticipating because I haven't gone through all assessments that you submitted. The assessment 2 that you submitted. And if you do business to business marketing, I'm not expecting that, but just in case you do that, please refer to the operating characteristics of the company. How do they operate? Are they a centralized company or a decentralized company? Purchasing approaches, whether they normally have a team of purchasing. Situational factors, whether this company is launching a new product or under competitive pressure, or they are in growth stage, for instance. Okay, and personal characteristics of the buyer decision maker, such as are they risk taker or not? Are they ambitious? Or you can also talk about, in terms of personal characteristics of the decision maker, you can also talk about their demographic profile. Okay, and you can also add with the geographic profile of the company. Where are they? Normally, B2B customers in Australia are in the eastern coast. Okay, and the size of the company, whether they're large companies, medium size of company, or a small size of company. Okay, remember, B2B marketing is actually aimed at organizations or their companies. Okay, just briefly about that. Now we come to the positioning. Okay, as I presented in the video presentation for module 3, I highlighted to everybody that please make sure that you understand the concept positioning, because positioning is the core marketing strategy. And in fact, you can also say that positioning is the core strategy of a business. Okay, it is the premise that the company wants to deliver for the customers, right? So whatever role that you want to do in the future, either in finance, sales, and operations, HR, and so on and so forth, if you understand the positioning of your company, that makes life easier, because you can appreciate, you can understand how you can contribute better through your role to the positioning. Okay. Now, what is positioning? As a concept, it is defined as the way the product is defined by its customers based on its important attributes. All right. Well, it may be a little complicated. Now, if you go back to the last video presentation, I think there are some number of examples in here. Just imagine if you look at brands such as BMW, VW, Apple, Samsung, for instance, you have words that you can use to define those brands. Okay, assuming those words are important in that industry. Okay. And assuming those words are in line with their marketing strategy, then they are basically the positioning strategy of these brands. Okay, so you are also customers. Okay, so you can use words to define certain brands that you select. Okay, for instance, if you buy a MacBook Pro, for instance, or MacBook Air, for instance, or an iPad, you can define the brand using your own words. Okay, right. The next thing I'd like to discuss is the steps to develop a positioning strategy. First, you determine the attributes. Right. So if we go back to mobile phone device, for instance, what are the attributes that you think important in this industry? In real life, we do research, we do focus group discussion, we do validation of the findings through quantitative research. Right. But you can also do brainstorming. Okay, what the attributes are, okay, to that consumers consider important in this industry. In mobile device, let's say it's the picture important, the brand name, the brand reputation is important, or the price, size of the screen, the apps, for instance, and so on and so forth, right? And then you map them, okay? And then you map them, or the reliability, or the innovativeness of the brand, and so on and so forth, okay? And then you map, and then you develop a positioning map, right? To map all brands competing in that industry, Okay, and last step in positioning strategy is to establish a positioning statement, which is defined as a statement that encapsulates a brand or company positioning strategy. How do we summarize it? How do we write a positioning statement? This is the formula, right? The ones that I write in here is actually the formula to write a positioning statement. Okay, to what target market with what need, our brand is what concept with point of differentiation. Okay, so in brief, it is actually about to whom you are what. Okay, to whom you are what. Imagine if you come to a job interview, you may receive a question, tell me about yourself. Then you are actually thinking about your positioning. To whom you are what, right? To this company and what? How do you pitch yourself? Okay, so that's actually a positioning statement. Okay, to what target market with what need, our brand is what concept. This is our premise actually. This concept in here is actually reflecting our promise. Okay, and this is how we convince the other guys why they should believe in our promise. Okay, all right. So that's basically the steps in creating a positioning statement in a nutshell. Okay, now if you refer to your module 3, you'll also be able to find this perceptual mapping. Okay, this is one of the things that you can develop. Okay, I'm expecting that you also show perceptual map. Okay, you show your brands, your brand and also your competitor brands in here, right? Where they sit and where your brand sits in this perceptual map. Okay, now before I mention about determine the attributes, you need to determine the attributes. Okay. The attributes in here is quite important for us to understand. All right, what about if we struggle with the attributes? All right, look, for your exercise, for your assessment, if you can use these two guys, okay, these two attributes, the quality and also price, right, that's fine. But you'll receive feedback from me to challenge you further, to push further, to specify them. All right, but for our assessment, at least you do price and quality. So you map all brands based on these price and quality. And in real life, again, in real life, you will have multiple attributes. Okay, not only two variables like this, not only two attributes like price and quality. You may have more than that because our consumers' thinking are more than are richer than just two variables. This is just an example. So in brief, for your assessment, if you deliver this to me, I'm happy with it. Okay, and you still receive feedback. If you use these two variables, price and quality, please in the future challenge yourself to have a more specific variables in your industry. Okay, based on your understanding about the customer's need. Okay, right. So that's perceptual mapping. Now, and then again, we need to develop a positioning statement. Now, before. And then after that, remember the positioning statement, the positioning strategy is the promise that we want to convey for the customers. The question for us is we need to deliver them. We need to deliver the promise through marketing mix variables, right? Before we discuss marketing mix variables, any questions? Any questions?
No.
Oh, good.
No.
All right, brilliant. All right, so remember the positioning is the promise. All right, if we promise our brand to be a premium quality, for instance, right, top level quality, or our brand is, let's say, if we talk about a top marquee, it represents the luxury quality, for instance. Okay, top level quality, premium. Okay, then that is a promise that requires us to translate into something more tangible for the customers, because that promise is conveyed to the consumer's mind. In other words, positioning is positioning lives in the consumer's mind. Okay, now first, when it comes to translating the positioning strategy, we need to look at the product Okay, and when it comes to product, this is the concept that you need to include, the 3 levels of products. Okay, they include core customer value or core product. Some authors use the term core product. That is fine. Other one you use is fine. Okay, it actually reflects what the customers really buying. Okay, what is the customer really buying? Or in other words, it is the core benefit. It is the reason why the customer buy this product. It is the reason why the customer buy the product. Okay, why they buy. Okay, and the next one is the actual product. The actual product includes these guys here, these 5 elements: the brand name, okay, the packaging, the features, design, and quality level. Okay, so actually, the actual product is the actual product reflects core customer value. Okay, so it has to show the link between the core customer value and the brand name, packaging, features, and so on and so forth that we develop. All right, and the next thing that we do is to decide the augmented product. Okay, augmented products are basically the additional or extra benefit that we offer for the customers. They include these guys here, right? And some authors suggest that these guys are basically the differentiation that we try to offer for the customers. That we try to offer to win the customers, right? They include warranty, after sales service, delivery and credit, and product support. Okay, sometimes if you look at Australian brands, a lot of them offer 1800 numbers, for instance, or 1300 numbers, right? To discuss, to ask questions, to have to discuss inquiries with the customer support team, for instance, right? So that's part of the augmented product. Okay. The other thing I'd like to highlight to you is the core customer value, actual product, and augmented product are basically something that the product planner starts with. And in terms of actual product and augmented product, the product planner would manage it to deliver what they promise for the customers, right? The value that they promise for the customers. Okay. So if you develop a premium product, you want to detail your features. Okay. You want to have a lot of things. Oops, sorry. You want to have you want to show a lot of things that you offer in your features, for instance, right? Your design should also show something premium and so on and so forth. And you want to offer a lot of things to support the customers in augmented product, all right? But if you offer budget brands such as Ryanair, Tiger Airlines, you may want to reduce your augmented product, and you also may want to reduce the features that you offer for the customers. Okay, so that helps us to design the product that we promise for the customers. Okay, okay, so that's basically about the product. 3 levels of product. The next thing is about the price. There are 2 things that you need to include in your price in your pricing strategy. The first one is pricing option. There are 3 options in here: the customer value-based pricing strategy, cost-based pricing strategy, and last one is competition-based pricing strategy. The customer value-based pricing strategy actually starts with the value that they promise for the customers, and then they design the product accordingly. Okay, so in real life, marketers want to research a product concept, and that product concept. In that research, they also ask the customers what kind of value that they have in their mindsets, and how much would be fair for the customers to pay for it. Okay, then they design the product accordingly, and they source the product, the materials accordingly, and they offer the product for the customers. Cost-based pricing strategy is different. They start with what they make in the plant. Okay, they create something in the plant. They discuss with the suppliers. They get the materials and so on and so forth, and that gives them the information about the costs, right? After that, they charge certain markup, certain percentage of markup, then it is the price. And then they run campaign to convince the customers, hey, this product is worth that much. Okay, let's say if I look at the if I am working on the on launching a new bottled water, for instance, right? I'm going to check how much is the cost of label, how much is the cost of packaging, the bottle, how much is the cost of the lid, how much is the cost of the shrink wrap, how much is the cost of the carton box, the labor cost, and so on and so forth, the machinery, and so on and so forth. And then based on that, let's say I got, okay, 50 cents, right, per unit, assuming X number of units, okay? And based on that, I will then charge certain markup. Let's say my company normally suggests, well, we need to double the cost, so our cost should be 50% of our total of our price. Then my price would be $1. Okay, so that's cost-based pricing strategy. Okay, then I run the campaign to convince the customers, hey, this product is worth that much. Okay. Competition-based pricing strategy is different. The marketers that use this option actually look at the competitors. How much do they charge the customers? Okay, and then they look at whether their product is superior or inferior or on par. Okay, and based on that decision, they make the pricing decision. Okay. And in terms of superior, sometimes you also need to look at whether the customers can feel the superiority of our product or not, because sometimes it is hard for the customers to tell the difference. Okay, imagine if you run a blind test for certain products, for instance, certain food products, the customers may not be able to tell the difference. Okay, then it is making us a bit harder to charge, different price. Okay, but if they know the packaging, if they know our brand and they know it should be different, then it is good for us, because that means from material perspective, the product is not different, but the brand tells a lot. Okay. Some product categories, maybe some customers may find it hard to tell the difference in terms of the benefits of the product. If you look at vitamin, for instance, after you take vitamin C, does it mean you can jump 10 meters longer, or we can live, let's say, until 100 years, for instance? We may be struggling to explain that. Okay, right. So that's basically pricing options. So you select one of them. All right. Again, a brief comment about your about the concepts. But recommend it to demonstrate that we understand the concepts. And the next one is about price adjustment strategy. Now, in my presentation for this module, I mentioned that there are two key characteristics of price that the other marketing mix variables don't have. The first one is price is the only element or is the only marketing mix variable that generates revenue that leads to profit. The other marketing mix variables mean cost to the business. If you create a new product, you hire people, that means cost to the business. You hire a packaging designer, that means cost to the business. If you develop distribution, that means cost to the business as well, right? Of course, you pass the costs on to the consumers, right? And so on and so forth, right? So price is the only opportunity for the company, from marketing mix variable perspective, to generate revenue, okay? The second characteristic of price, which is unique compared to the other marketing mix variables, is the price is relatively easy to adjust. Sometimes you go to the store, either any consumer electronics store such as JB Hi-Fi or Harvey Norman and so on and so forth, and you may bring your the catalog of their competitor. You're charging your price is too expensive. Look at these guys. This guy's running special. Why do I want to go? Why do I want to buy yours, which is more expensive? Same article, same product code, and so on and so forth. And that and our sales assistant may talk to this store manager to discuss that, and they may come back to you. Very likely they come back to you. Okay, we'll match that price. Okay, so that is an example to give you an illustration that price is easy to adjust compared to the other marketing mix variables that require some research, that require some negotiation, for instance. Okay, right now, price adjustment strategies. What are they? This is a list of actions that you can do to adjust your pricing, your price. Discount allowance pricing, you may do that. Some companies do that because they want to reward the customers, since the customers give them better trading terms, such as pay early, for instance, or buy in larger volume. Segmented pricing, another way, they may charge a different price for certain customers. You may find that Sydney Rail, for instance, charge lower price for pensioners and kids, for instance. And cinemas may also charge different price for students, for instance. Okay, some of them are intended to kind of charity, in quote unquote, as being sensitive to social issues. Some other reasons, basically, to get higher volume, to help them absorbing the fixed cost. Right. The next one is the psychological pricing, adjusting for psychological effects. Okay. The effect of what? The effect of being premium or being affordable. Now, if you go to Woolies and Coles, you may find the price being $3.99, or it's odd numbers like that to give the impression, or to create the impression that the price is affordable. Does it work or not? Well, it goes back to the consumer's perception, but at least they try to convey, hey, we are not that, we are actually affordable. Okay, and then promotional pricing, which is basically about reducing the price temporarily, okay, to increase short-run sales. That's that is actually the reason. Okay, and if you go to again Woolworths and Coles, you'll be able to find price being reduced, special. Okay. The next one is geographical pricing, which is basically adjusting the price because of the geographical location of the customers. Okay, in Australia we have such a large land. Okay, and shipment means cost to the business. You can imagine that most of the factories, most of the manufacturing operations are in the eastern coast, but we also need to cover our customers in the western in the western coast, right? And we need to consider the cost to deliver that. Okay, there are some options in here. One option is to have a single pricing strategy. That means the customers who live near our operations basically subsidize, right? The customers who are far away from the operation. Okay. The second option is to zone the price, zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3, for instance. Okay, and we price them accordingly. And the third one is FOB, free on board. So we ship the products to the port, and from the port to the customer's warehouse, the customers will pay for it, and the customers will charge the final consumers accordingly. Okay, so that's geographical pricing. The next one is the dynamic pricing, which is basically adjusting the price to meet the characteristics and needs of the customers, okay, based on situation. Now, this actually is about the price can be negotiated. Okay, they can change the price. Some retailers may do that, may adopt that. Okay, they offer you to to negotiate the prices. Okay. The last one is international pricing, which is basically considering, again, the location of the customers in the international market. Okay? I suspect you're based on discussions and through emails and also the forum that I observe. If in terms of price adjustment strategy, a lot of people may need to consider the promotional pricing and also probably the psychological pricing. Okay. In their analysis. Do you have to use everything? No. Well, if you can use one or two from here, that's great. Okay, to demonstrate that you understand how to adjust the pricing strategies. Okay. Now the next one is placement. There are two concepts I'd like you to include in your assessment, and your assessment task also include these two things. The first one is the distribution coverage strategy, and the second one is marketing channel strategy. Okay, distribution coverage strategy includes an intensive, selective, and exclusive distribution strategy. Distribution coverage strategy is actually about how many outlets or how many resellers that we want to cover. Okay, so distribution coverage strategy is about how many resellers that we want to cover. Okay, and the next one is marketing channel strategy, which is basically about direct, indirect, and hybrid. Okay, so marketing channel strategy is actually about the decision on how many marketing channels that we want to use in our distribution, in our placement strategy. Okay, direct channel strategy means we do not assign any marketing channel or marketing intermediaries or marketing or the middleman. Indirect means we use at least one. Okay, at least one marketing intermediary or middleman. Okay, and hybrid means we use the combination of those guys, direct and indirect. Okay, so some customers may buy the product directly from the manufacturer, and the manufacturers basically, if you look at Kogan business, for instance, in consumer electronic, they design their business to be e-marketing or e-commerce, basically, where customers deal with them directly. They place the order online, and Kogan will ship the product directly for the customers. That means they're doing direct channel strategy. Okay. Some other businesses require retailers such as Woolworths and Coles, or the other retailers such as JB Hi-Fi, for instance, to reach the final consumers. That means they do indirect. But these guys may also use direct channel strategy through their online store, for instance. Customers can place the order, and they ship the product for the customers. At the same time, customers can also buy their products through retailers. That means they adopt hybrid channel strategy. Okay. All right. So that's basically placements in a nutshell. And the last one is the next one is promotion strategy. That includes these 5 tools. Please include these 5 tools: advertising, sales, promotion, selling, personal selling, which is basically sales rep. Public relations, and direct digital marketing. Okay, so just a brief information here. By the way, I'm going to upload the PDF file of these presentation slides and for you to look at. So that's what we mean by the 5 tools. Okay, and then the next one is the extended marketing mix variables. Okay, make sure we also include people, process, and physical evidence. Okay. People here is basically about human aspects of the product, services, or experiences. So they are actually the staff who are involved in the service or experience delivery. It includes frontline staff, the customer culture, the appearance, the training, the attitudes, or you can also include the logistic teams to help you, for instance, or the R&D team to help you delivering, creating the product, and a customer service team to help you deliver the service. Process is basically the system that the company adopts to make sure that the customers receive the support or service. Okay, so they include degree of automation, degree of personalization, payment system, customer interactions. Okay, and last one is physical evidence, which is basically about tangible and intangible cues that the customers may observe, right, in their journey dealing with us. Okay, it includes anything like atmosphere of the store, for instance, design of the brand, or design of the business, of the outlet, and promotion support style. Okay, now, extended marketing mix variables are normally used for services marketing, but we can also adopt it for our business. Okay. Right, so that's basically the main points that we need to deliver. Now, what's the next thing? Conclusion, please make sure you relate to the key findings. I noticed that some people, when they write the conclusion, they are not related to the key finding. Okay, so please make sure you do that. You relate that to the key finding. And present and record. Assign at least one person. You can use Zoom. Zoom is preferred or recommended. Sign up for the basic service. At least one member presenting it, record it, upload on YouTube channel, and put your presentation, link of your presentation on one of the slides. Okay, then you upload. Okay, you upload. Right, that's basically it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop recording, and we'll have a discussion. Okay.